So welcome to the three shifts to better connection in your marriage. For those of you who are new to my world, I'm Rachel Cunningham. I'm a life and marriage coach, certified through the Life Coach School and the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. So I believe that marriage is a absolutely beautiful choice. And my job is, yes, to help you heal your marriage, but I believe that that comes through really unleashing the wildest, most amazing and wise parts of you that are already inside of you right now. It's not something you have to reach for and attain. It's already inside of you. We just have to uncover that. So due to my background as a yoga instructor and a health coach, I take a very holistic approach to marriage. And I focus not only on you healing your relationship with your partner, but also healing and prioritizing your relationship with you, with yourself. So I've been married for 26 years. We have 3 kids, and we've been through all the highs and lows. And we struggled for a while in our relationship, but we did love each other. And my husband's a pretty great guy. But here's what I've learned over 26 years of marriage. Let me tell you what I've learned. The biggest thing I've learned over 26 years of marriage is that love and a good man do not equal a good relationship. There was so much missing in our connection. We felt like we were, constantly going in different directions. I felt frustration. I was exhausted. I started getting resentful towards him. And this cycle of frustration, exhaustion, and resentment was happening on a regular basis. So I remember saying to myself one day, I was like, okay, Rach, you can either leave this marriage or you can stay, but either way, you have to figure out how to be happy in your life. I needed to figure out how to take responsibility for my own joy. And a big part of that joy, if you are married, is feeling connected in your marriage, right? I'm going to move my microphone a little bit closer. So I started asking myself, what if our relationship could keep getting better, even better than it was in the beginning? What if we could create more connection and passion than ever before? So that's what I set out to do on purpose with a whole lot of intention. How did that go for me? Just as planned, just as I intended. We have a strong relationship now, 26 years later, filled with joy and peace, and yes, even passion. We're supportive of each other's dreams, which is huge, right? We have hope for our future together. But I also want you to know that our outside circumstances were not always easy. We had a lot of metaphoric mountains to climb in this life together. But through it all, our relationship became stronger. Every mountain we had to climb, stronger, right? We built deeper connection and more intimacy, and even learned to have fun together as we were climbing some of those mountains. So one of the best lessons that I've learned in the past 10 years is that you don't have to have an easy road in life to have joy and peace. But to experience joy and peace on a regular basis, we do need some proven tools to thrive as a team together, right? During those good times and the hard times. And sometimes you do need help outside of yourself, from someone who has been where you are and who made their own major shift in their life. I believe our marriage relationships are so important, and I don't take my job lightly. I know that families' lives and even future generations are at stake here. So if you're struggling in your marriage, you've come to the right place. I am going to share with you today how you can start building connection with very small shifts, right? And I'm also going to share with you at the end of class how you can work with me. But if you know that you already want to work with me, if you've been thinking about it for a while, be one of the first to book a consultation. I only have a few spots left. So you can sign up for a free consultation at rachelcunningham.com/work with me. And I'll put that at the end as well, so you can see that. If you're wondering what it's like to work with me, I'll let my client Laura speak to that. She said, let me open it up here. She said, After coaching with Rachel, being married no longer feels like a chore. I actually enjoy my relationship again. It's as simple as that, right? So if you want a deeply connected marriage full of peace and joy, go ahead and book a free consultation to see what it's like to work with me. Okay, so if you are here, that's the quick spiel. If you're here, you're most likely feeling a bit of, or a lot of disconnection from your partner. From the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, you feel like you're drifting apart. You used to feel like best friends, and you used to connect well. You used to communicate. You used to be lovers. But over time, you've really become more like roommates, and pretty grumpy roommates at that, right? Not even roommates that you enjoy living with. There's always something irritating you. You know, whether it's the way your partner leaves shoes right in front of the door, or the way they lose their keys nearly every day and like have this huge meltdown, right? Or, you know, the constant butt grabbing, right? At the wrong time. Every time you go to do the dishes, it's like grabbing your butt, right? All of these things can start to get irritating after a while. Things that maybe we even were laughing at and enjoyed in the beginning, it becomes irritating after a while. Or maybe for you, it's the lack of interest and the lack of communication, the lack of interest in sex even, right? And if you've got kids and you're a woman, no doubt you're probably carrying most of the physical and emotional load of raising the kids and managing the home, right? And everything that comes in between that. So life is really feeling imbalanced, and you're showing up every damn day, right? You show up. So the only one to blame is your spouse, right? Or maybe both of you are just working incredibly hard, and with or without kids, there's just no time or energy to connect. So your evenings end up being rushed, and you end up just falling into bed, and you're like, oh, I didn't do anything fun today. So you open your phone and you scroll your phone, or you watch something that you're barely interested on Netflix, just so your brain can have one chance to relax, right? In all of these situations, irritation and resentment creeps in. And if it's left for too long, this can really turn into contempt, which is where you're so critical of your partner, and you end up looking down on them instead of looking at them with respect, right? So when we're in this cycle of frustration with our partners, it's incredibly hard to connect heart to heart. I believe connection starts when you genuinely see and accept the other person. Everyone in this life, every single human on this planet, just wants to be seen and heard and accepted. That's it. That is the root of all of our desires, right? That is the root of connection, is when we feel like we're seen and heard and accepted, even in all of our flaws. So I want that for you, and I also want that for your partner. But I believe wholeheartedly that we can get this ball rolling with just one willing partner. So just by being at this class today, you are getting that ball rolling. Okay, be proud of that. So let's start with the most important shift that you can make. You are the most important asset in your life. It's time to start acting like it. I know that this sounds like the opposite of connection to some of you. It sounds selfish and one-sided. This is not a selfish belief, right? Women have been taught that prioritizing themselves is selfish. We've been taught that we're constantly supposed to put others above ourselves. But here's the truth. If you are treating yourself like shit, you'll only have the energy to treat your relationship and your partner like shit. So many of us are neglecting our body, our mind, and our soul. And we're wondering why we don't have the energy or desire to engage with our partners, or why we don't have the desire to be present, why we can't be present, right? Why we're always checked out. and why we don't have joy in our lives. If this is you, if you're neglecting your sleep, if you're neglecting your physical and your emotional health, and if you're sweeping your own personal dreams under the rug, this is the biggest problem in your marriage. To create better connection with your partner, you must first connect with yourself. You must start treating yourself like the queen, right? You would treat the queen with deep respect. You would say she deserves care, right? So I'm serious. This goes beyond bubble baths and manicures. I'm talking about radical self-love, okay? Radical self-love heals your body, it heals your mind, and it heals your soul. In order to commit to this kind of care on a regular basis, you have to believe that you're actually worthy of love and kindness, and that your inner soul's desires actually matter. They're there for a reason. You also must believe that you are enough and that you do enough. And that's a total mindset shift for most of us, right? We're constantly feeling behind. We're constantly have a list of 500 things that we need to do, right? So you must start believing that it's okay to take time off so that you can nurture yourself. This is where your mind really starts to spin, right? But I don't have time, but my family needs me, but my life is too demanding. This notion of caring for yourself first goes against everything we've been conditioned and taught as women. The patriarchy doesn't like it, because if we do this, if we take care of ourselves, we're going to have to let some things go and start delegating more, right? We've been taught to give and sacrifice so much that it feels selfish to prioritize our own human needs. But what happens when we give until we're exhausted? You know what happens. We have no more left to give. We begin to feel annoyed at the simplest of conversations. We start to blame our partners for not meeting our needs. We start to blame and criticize our partners for them having desires, right? We're meeting everyone else's needs, and we start to wonder, why isn't anyone meeting ours? So we start to avoid our partners because they're just like having another kid, right? Or we check out during conversations because we're too tired, or we get angry because we feel like we're trapped. We feel like our family is dictating our every move. And eventually we feel too exhausted to give anymore. When your cup is empty, you can't share with someone else. It's impossible. So with each of these shifts, shift number 1, 2, and 3, I'm going to give you a power thought. I want you to write it down, and I want you to start practicing your belief in it. For shift number 1, your power thought is, I am 100% worthy of love and care exactly as I am. Write it down, practice it. Because if you don't learn to believe this, you'll never honor those commitments to yourself, right? To have a really good relationship with another person for the rest of our lives, for decades and decades and decades, we must first have an incredible relationship with ourselves. If you look at these 3 aspects of your life, your body, your mind, and your soul, ask yourself, what are you missing? What am I missing in these areas? What is your body screaming at you for more of? Is it sleep? Is it good nutrition? Is it more sunshine? If so, prioritize it. And then what about your mind? Is it in need of a tune-up? Do you know how to manage it on the best days and the worst days? Or are you letting your circumstances that you don't have much control over sometimes, are you letting those drag you down emotionally because you don't know a better way? If so, it's time to get help to learn how to care for your own mind so that you can meet any circumstance, any mountain is what I call them, with confidence. All right, what about your soul? Let's look at the soul. It gets neglected so much. We can all mean different things when we talk about soul, but I love to view the soul as a part of us with totally separate needs than our body. Number 1, let me flip the board here and show you. So your soul's 3 needs are, number 1, expression. It's your unique expression. This is like when you crave to do something, whether it's read or go for a hike or play music or paint or go start a new creative endeavor just for the fun of it, right? This is like it's unique to every single person, right? And it often gets ignored. Number 2 is connection to others and the world around us, right? So your friends, your family, your husband, your children, like that human to human connection, our soul craves that. The 3rd is contribution. This is simply how you give back to the world and how you leave it a better place than what you came, right? Your soul needs all of these, every one of them. This is part, like really honoring your soul is part of radical self-love. Sometimes the focus can be on one or more of these, right? Sometimes your contribution as a mom is 100% to your family, right? Especially if you have little kids, it's like, okay, this is my contribution to the world right now, right? And then other times you're going to be focused on, like right now, you are focused on how do I build connection with myself and my partner, right? And then number 1 is what usually gets ignored, right? So we sweep this one under the rug, like we sweep all of those cravings and those desires under the rug. If that's you right now, if you're ignoring something creatively or just going out and having fun, it's worth paying attention to. Because if this is missing in your life, your connection with your partner, there's going to be something missing there as well. So dreams and play and creativity are not just for kids. You know, the more I prioritize, I see this in myself all the time. The more I prioritize my relationship with myself by nurturing my body, my mind, and my soul, the better I connect and relate with my husband without making any other changes. And in addition to that, like if I'm feeding these things in myself, I have more energy and excitement about life, and me and my partner have more fun together. So I see this all the time in my coaching practice as well. The more my clients take responsibility for their body and mind and soul, the more heart-to-heart connection they build with their partners. Now, your primitive brain doesn't believe that there's time for treating yourself like the most important asset in your life. You know, that animal brain is used to prioritizing everything else, from laundry to money to kids. And it's not able to see a really clear picture of how caring for yourself will make caring for everything else easier and even faster. If you prioritize these, I promise you, your life is going to feel more easy, and you're going to start to see and notice that you're getting more time back in your day. It's crazy, but your brain is still stuck in the pattern of belief that you don't have time, and it's holding you back. So to make serious change in these areas, you must understand that these thought patterns that are holding you back are just learned stories from past events, and those stories can be changed. You can have a different future. You just have to change those thought patterns. And this is what I teach my clients. We dive in every week to the thoughts that are holding them back. Sometimes they're easy shifts. Sometimes we've got to dig in a whole lot deeper and really understand those thought patterns, right? So you can chuck your old stories and you can write a new one for your future. A new story where you know, you create an amazing relationship with yourself and with your partner and with everyone else in your life, right? That's what's going to set you up for success, to heal your relationship with your partner so much more quickly than just focusing on communicating better, right? So many of you come into my world and say, our biggest problem is communication, right? But we have to backtrack and uncover why communicating is hard. And so many times it has to do with you are neglecting one of these things, or that you are neglecting your body and your mind, right? So if you fill your own cup up first, Giving and connecting to others does not deplete you, it energizes you. If you remember anything from this class, I want you to remember that. I didn't write it down, so I'll say it again. If you fill your own cup first, giving and connecting to others does not deplete you, it energizes you, okay? Because that's two of our soul's needs, giving and connection, but we have to care for ourselves in order to do that. So I want you to own the responsibility for your own personal growth and care. It's not your partner's job to make it easy on you to fill these needs for yourself. You're the only one who genuinely knows what needs to happen so that you can go fulfill these needs. Take responsibility for that. Okay, we're going to go to shift number 2. Shift number 2, your partner is good enough exactly as he or she is. Now, I know that you're probably creating a total list of things in your mind right now that they should change. We'll get to that list in a minute, but I want you to know that just like you are worthy of love exactly as you are, so is your partner. And it's not your job to somehow help them overcome decades of habits and personality traits. That would be a huge job, and it's not yours to have. That is their job. And even though they're not perfect, even though they have lots of things that would be easier on you if they didn't do, they are still worthy of love exactly as they are. So for deeper connection, it's imperative to see this. Trying to change your partner is killing your connection, right? Because all they're seeing when you're constantly trying to change them is that they're not good enough, right? They're just fed that message, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. And they're seeing criticism and disapproval over and over. So shift number 2, power thought that you're going to write down is he or she is lovable and worthy of love just because he's a creation on this planet. This means that you get to let go of the responsibility of convincing them to change for you. That's exhausting, you guys. I've done it before. I've tried to change people. It's exhausting and it doesn't work. So they are lovable though. Like even if they don't change, even if they have imperfections, they are lovable exactly as they are. So you get to be in charge of, in control of your own emotions, regardless of if your partner makes the bed or not, regardless of if he works too much or if he doesn't work enough. So you might be wondering, is it even possible to find joy and love and peace and contentment if our partners don't change those petty little things that grate on our nerves every day? Yes, it is. I promise you. Just think about it. In the beginning of our relationships, we aren't trying to convince we're not trying to convince our partners to change things about them. Instead, we're looking at what's right in front of us and we're embracing them with full acceptance and full belief that they are lovable exactly as they are. And our brains are actually looking for all the good in them. But over time, what happens? We get used to all the things that we fell in love with them about. We get so used to them that they become boring, right? I remember this happened with my husband. One of the best things about my husband was that he would just make me laugh. I mean, for the first time in my life, I would belly laugh with him, and it happened all the time. And then after a while, his humor started irritating me. Right? It's so interesting. Like those things that we fall in love with are sometimes the very things that grate on our nerves after a while. So not only do we get used to those things, those same things that either were amazing or at least weren't a big deal became huge obstacles in our relationships. And then when that happens, we just start to like little bitty nudges of, oh, I wish they would change that. Right? And then they don't change it. And 2 years goes by and, oh, that's so annoying. That's so irritating. And your whole nervous system wants to scream, right? So what do? We start to criticize. We start to put up rules on how they should show up in life. And we want to change their personality, and we want to change who they are. And we create a rule book for our partners of how they should be doing things. And that rule book, it crushes the joy that we once felt just by being in their presence. You probably have a rule book as well. Everything from you should pick up your socks to you should make the bed to you should be on time, or you should remember to do the things that we talked about yesterday, or you should remember our conversation, right? That's a big one. You should notice the kitty litter as much as I do. That's a big one for me. You should parent our kid more like I do. That's one that I used to think. You should, and then we start to like, even things like physical connection, like you should be a better kisser, or you should, stop trying to make everything a joke, right? That was mine. You should have more muscles. You should be more attractive or have a better personality. Half of these things we don't say out loud. We think them in our minds, and they cause that disconnection anyway. So these rules, spoken or unspoken, shift our relationship from one of connection and admiration to one where we're just blaming them for our unhappiness and trying to manipulate them to change for us. And we think that if they would just do all of these things right, then we could have an easier time being happy. And when we put our partner in charge of our own happiness, it's a recipe for major frustration. So when we put our partner in charge of our happiness, there's no choice left but to just keep criticizing and bringing on the judgment, right? And we start to withhold affection, and we wonder what happened to our connection. What happened to our compatibility? We used to be so compatible. We used to be so in love. And we're just wondering what happened to it. What happened to it is we created a big list of rules for each other. But I want to shift everything for you here. When you catch yourself creating a rule book for your partner with a list of 5 things or 1,000 things that they should do better, you're actively killing that romance and connection. Okay? Rule books kill romance. So no adult wants to be parented all the time, especially the love of your life, right? Just think about it. How do you feel when people tell you what you should be doing? How does it feel when others criticize you and try to fix you? Even the things that you could be fixed, or even the things that you want to fix. When someone else criticizes you for it or tries to tell you how to fix it, it's kind of irritating, right? So your partner might do this to you as well, right? I'm fully aware of that. Some of you are going, yeah, but my partner has a rule book for me, right? We all do it. And for the person on the receiving end, whether it's you or your partner, or probably both, it feels awful. It doesn't feel like a healthy, connected relationship with mutual affection and respect, but instead it feels like you're in a relationship full of frustration and where you're just trying to manipulate each other to change, right? So that is part of this recognition that your partner is worthy of love right now. Drop the rule book. Let go of criticism. It's not needed, even for the things that you genuinely want to improve in your marriage. So yes, just to answer that question, I know that's in your brain, you still get to ask for what you want. Our partners are not mind readers after all. They don't always know the things that we want to shift in our relationships so that we can have more connection. So I'm a fan of asking for what you want. But when you ask for what you want, I want you to replace criticism with curiosity, okay? So when asking for what you want, drop criticism and be open to curiosity. A beautiful thing happens when you ban criticism from your home. When you say no more criticism in this home, and you replace it with acceptance and curiosity, your communication about your daily life and your connection and your passion starts to grow, even as you ask for what you want in your relationship, even as you ask for what you need, right? From a place of those thoughts, I am totally worthy of love exactly as I am, and my beautiful, amazing partner is worthy of love exactly as they are. When you drop criticism and get curious, your conversations will naturally be more healthy and productive, even if you didn't go through like a 10 course how to communicate better, right? If you just drop that criticism and bring in curiosity, your brain and your heart is going to figure out communication much quicker. All right, so a perspective shift number 3. We're going to dive in, breezing right through this. Perspective shift number 3. Stop thinking that your in love feelings are behind you. Okay, I got to take a drink of water for this. So I want you to start believing that you have power in your brain to create true connection, including more passion in your relationship. Yes, I mean those gushy in love feelings, right? I've been married for 26 years. And actually it's 26 years tomorrow. So I've been married for 26 years. And after kids, I did what most of us do. I got busy parenting. And those in love feelings really took a back seat. And I started to wonder, am I ever going to feel them again? But I really learned that they don't have to take a back seat. For me, they may have been in the trunk, right? Might not have just been in the back seat. It might have been in the trunk. But you can recreate those in love feelings. It's just emotions after all. What are emotions? Emotions are simply chemical reactions and vibrations in our bodies that come from a thought in your mind. This is really good news, you guys, because it means that what once was there from the thoughts in our minds, right? Like think back into the beginning, right? All the thoughts that we had about our partner, the thoughts that we were looking for and that we just had because they were super easy, those are what created those in love feelings. And so those in love feelings can be recreated with the thoughts in your mind. When a couple first meets, it's super easy, isn't it? We're actively looking for the good, and our brain wants to look for all the best thoughts to produce those juicy feelings. So, did you hear what I said? Your thoughts produce those juicy feelings. But after a while, after we've decided that this is love and not just infatuation, our brains settle down and we start to direct our thoughts on other things like parenting and mortgages and jobs. And this isn't all bad, right? There's a time for lovemaking and there's a time for changing diapers. And, there's a time for making money and teaching teenagers to drive and all the other things. But the passion and love and that feeling of being in love does not have to stop. Yes, even during the busiest of times, even during those times when you're climbing the roughest mountains, right? You can still pause when you're climbing a mountain and you can continue to create those in love feelings again and again, okay? Your love and passion can still be amazing. I have a note to change things here. And it is not, I'm lost in my notes, you guys. So our emotions are simply vibrations. I skipped that one. But here's my notes. Okay, I'm caught up in my notes. Your love and passion can be amazing after decades of marriage, okay? But for this to happen, you have to get out of your own way. Your view of true love, of true mature love, needs to grow up. and it needs to open up to the possibility of more passion, right? So many of us are just closed off. We're closed off. And so we need to kind of retrain our brain to open up to the possibility of more passion. The beautiful thing about the brain is that, yes, those initial hormones make having those pleasant thoughts super easy in the beginning. But the opposite is true too. You can create desire again by creating those thoughts about yourself, about your partner, and about you as a team, right? If you're constantly beating yourself up, you're not going to really want to create some juicy feelings. If you're constantly beating your partner up, you're not going to want to create some juicy feelings, right? But so there is power in your mind as long as you know how to direct it. Otherwise, it becomes your inner critic, and it just holds you back from everything worth having, including that passionate marriage that you want. So the way you think and the things that you think about are directly tied to how you feel. And how you feel is directly tied to the actions that you take. Those actions create your results in life. If you want passion in your marriage, if you want that end result to be a great sex life or incredible passion, even as you're passing each other in the kitchen, the first step is understanding that you have the power to create that passion in your brain first, on purpose. How? You begin small. As with all of these shifts that I talk about today, I want you to begin small. Like when you wake up, pause to take a moment to actually look at your sleeping partner and just say, I am so glad he's beside me in this one precious life. Or when you're both in the kitchen, waiting for the coffee to finish, take a moment to hug, throw in a kiss. When you're both rushing out the door, take a moment to appreciate and say, thank you so much for working so hard for our family. Thank you so much for your dedication, right? When you combine the power of your thinking plus appreciation plus touch, your emotions begin to shift. It's this beautiful little math equation. So better thoughts plus appreciation plus touch equals an emotional shift, an emotional vibrational shift in your body. When you do these things, you will start feeling that rush of joyful, gushy love again. That's why we're here, right? You want to become lifelong teammates who work really well together, and you still have mad crushes on each other. I promise you it's possible. Notice that all of these examples that I talked about today you can get started with them in under a minute. So for example, you don't have to start with massive conversations. You just have to start with one power thought. Okay, what's your shift number 3 power thought? Anything you want it to be, but I'm going to let you borrow one of mine. Damn, that grin is so kissable, right? Like that, you can steal that one from me. When I focus on my husband's little sidewards grin, it gets me every time, right? And that's something that I noticed at the very beginning, right? Think of something that you noticed about your partner at the very beginning that they still have, right? Focus on that, right? So what's yours? What is unique to your honey? Think about it and let it start creating more passion in you, okay? Okay, that's the 3 shifts. Number 1, let's simplify it as a review. Prioritize you. Number 2, drop the rule book. Number 3, embrace the power of your mind to create passion again. You can start now with all of these. You can start with 30 seconds at a time, right? 30 seconds to breathe and say, hey, girl, I got you. On the busiest days, right? Just say, okay, I'm going to start. I don't know where I'm going to start, but I'm going to start with 30 seconds of breathing and reminding myself that I am worthy of love and I am worthy of breath. It can start as simple as that. Okay. And then 30 seconds to notice something about your partner, anything, and then appreciate it. Verbally express that appreciation to them today. And then a 30-second kiss. Wow, what could that do for you on a regular basis? 30-second kiss sound crazy? Make it 6 seconds. The Gottman Institute says they've done studies, and they say that there is power and excitement in a 6-second kiss, right? 6 seconds, you can start to change the trajectory of your relationship. Okay, so start now, don't wait. But I do want to address something before I close out today. When you begin to make changes in your own mindset and start intentionally making change in each of these areas, you're going to have a lot of emotions come up, right? Because we're more than just our current thoughts. Those current thoughts are coming from a lot of stories and a lot of circumstances that our brain is scared of, right? So you'll have a lot of excitement, but you're also going to have a lot of, if it works quickly, you're going to have a lot of excitement. But if it doesn't, you might feel frustrated. You might say, oh, I tried this and it's so frustrating because it's not working. I don't know where to go from here. And you might start to feel confused and maybe even a little uncomfortable as you begin taking responsibility for becoming the partner that you want to be. Our brains have had a lot of practice on focusing on what's wrong and repeating old habits and avoiding the difficult emotions that come with change. So if this sounds like you, if you begin change and then all the emotions come up and you go right back to the old habits that create disconnection again, number one, don't beat yourself up. I want you to know that you are totally normal. This is a human condition. It's not unique to you. Okay, so the 3 shifts that I shared with you today are simple, but they can really be uncomfortable to actually make on a consistent basis, because prioritizing your own physical and emotional needs feels selfish at first, and it can bring up a lot of resentment. And then loving someone for exactly who they are and not who you wish they would be is uncomfortable at first. And stepping into the unknown and the possible rejection and the possible frustration of creating a better sex life, that learning curve of how to connect again after some time off, it's uncomfortable and it might be even a little scary at first. So this is why I do what I do. I coach women one-on-one in a 6-month program to take this work all the way to the love bank. And yes, just as I showed you in the class, one willing partner is all it takes to really get that ball rolling. One willing partner can completely change the trajectory of a marriage. And this is why I coach women to prioritize themselves. And in doing so, you unleash your wild, inner, beautiful, loving, wise self. And you create deep connection and a joyful marriage in the process. And I know some of you are wanting to know how you can work with me. This has resonated and you're like, okay, I know I want this. I know I want to work with you. 6 months of personal one-on-one coaching to heal my relationship with myself and my partner. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing, right? Good. I want you to hold on to that thought because you do not have to do this alone. One-on-one marriage coaching works because when you take charge of your part, you're suddenly in complete control of your life. You stop putting the emphasis on your partner to change, which you have no control over anyway. You've proven that, right? And you put all of that energy into yourself. This is not giving away your power. It's stepping into your power. Pause to feel like the freedom in that, right? You're no longer going to waste your energy on trying to change someone else. You're going to put all that energy into you. The only things you will ever work to change again are things in your control. This is how we are meant to live. Things, think of how much time and energy you're going to save doing this. Here's the thing. I want you to imagine both you and your partner are standing in like mud up to your knees, and you're both like criticizing each other over it, right? Like, why are you standing in the mud? Why are you standing in the mud? Right? So instead of criticizing your partner for standing in the mud, you're going to just be the first one to step out. You're going to say, hey, I'm sick of this mud. I would like to dry off and clean off and get out. So you're going to be the first one to step out. And of course, you're going to welcome your partner to join you, but you're going to leave the choice up to them, and you're going to leave their timing up to them. You're going to trust them to meet you when they can, right? You're no longer pulling them and going, come on, get out of the mud, right? You're like, come on, I'm going to get out of the mud. I'm going to step out of the mud. You say to yourself, hey, why are you staying in this mud? Get out, right? So you're going to step out, you're going to clean off your shoes, and you're going to totally love yourself in a brand new way. And you're going to love your partner, even if they're in the mud, in a brand new way. So I welcome you to join me. And then, right, whenever this happens, like a beautiful thing happens, your partner is standing in the mud, and they're going to look at you dry and clean and going, oh, she knows what she's doing. And they're going to go, okay, I'm going to join you now, right? This happens so many times, right? So you spend your energy on what you can do. When you focus on healing your own stories and healing your past stories even, and understanding your own triggers, right? Those moments where you're triggered and you don't even know why. When you focus on healing that, your focus stops being on the past and it starts being on the future. And you start to say, I'm going to create a better future for myself. I'm going to stop looking back and I'm going to create a better future for myself. This was my biggest work, right? Any of us who have come from any kind of traumatic background, right? Our work is in healing so that we can focus on creating a better future. So you're going to stop the struggle. You're going to stop the manipulation tactics. You'll stop avoiding your partner to make a point. You'll stop slamming the dishes when you're frustrated to make sure he hears and knows just how upset you are. I know this, I've done this before. You'll stop trying to numb your feelings with excess food and alcohol or TV or whatever your vice is at the moment to buffer away your emotions. And instead, you're going to learn how to use your emotions for you, right? Instead of against you. So many times we use our negative emotions against ourselves instead of understanding them and processing them and using them for us. So when you coach with me, I drive home how to really begin seeing yourself as completely worthy of love, right? And you're going to show up as the person you know you can be. You will be the example of what is possible. And for those of you, I know some of you might be going, but there's this thing in our relationship that if he doesn't change, I'm going to have to check out, right? So I want to really talk to you guys for just a second here. For those of you who do have some deal breakers in your relationship, like maybe your partner drinks way too much on a regular basis. Maybe they have a gambling problem or anything else that you feel could be a deal breaker for you. When you start taking charge of yourself, you're going to get super clear on what you are willing to accept in your relationship, and you'll get clear on what you're not willing to accept. And with the confidence that you're building, you'll learn how to create boundaries for yourself that are not led with criticism, but they're led with love and compassion. But they're going to be firm boundaries that you honor for yourself, right? You're going to stop people pleasing your family because that is not in your control. Or because stop people. The only person who can control whether you people please or not is yourself, not your family. You're going to have more time because you're going to know what to focus on and stop spinning in confusion. And last but not least, you're going to create more fun and joy in your family time and in your relationship. And that includes a better sex life, right? So these things that I have listed here, these are the real results that my clients get when they work with me in my 6-month one-on-one coaching program. If you want these results too, and if you want them faster and easier than you can do on your own, if you've tried this stuff over and over on your own, this is a sure sign that you need some outside help. So I invite you to come work with me. It's one thing to know the skills, and it's another to uncover those stories that are deep-seated in our minds so that we can actually implement these skills into your unique situation. So when you coach with me, you're going to learn why you keep gravitating to those old habits so that you know how to change them. And because you have me to help you watch your own brain every single week, I'm going to help you see things that you're not able to see on your own. Sometimes you're just too close to the situation, right? Have you ever felt that way? Like you're watching a friend situation and you're like, why don't they see this? It's so obvious, right? Sometimes like when we're so close to a situation, we can't see the full perspective. So having another person watch your brain with you on a weekly basis is a quick way to start implementing these changes and really create, in a much more productive and healthy and quick way, you're going to create a mature marriage, right? A mature marriage, I always say a mature marriage grows in love. It doesn't fall in love, right? In the beginning, we were like, oh, I'm falling in love. A mature marriage grows in love. Often it feels very similar, but it's so much more mature. It's so much more exciting even because you have control over it. So I help you to grow and to keep growing until you're 90-something years old, right? Or over 100 for some of you. So my one-on-one spots are limited. So if you're thinking about working with me, you're going to want to open up a new browser and type this in. Let me see here. rachelcunningham.com/work-with-me. So that's going to give you, when you go here and when you type that into a new browser and you schedule that appointment, we're going to meet for 45 minutes. This is a free consultation. You're going to have plenty of time to make sure that we're a good fit. And I will tell you exactly how I'll help you in your unique situation. Because I know all of you have, some examples of what I've shared with you today. Others of you have totally different situations, but a lot of the same feelings, right? So we're going to go over those in detail, and I'm going to answer all of your questions, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I would help you. I also want you to know that there is no pressure on that call, only an opportunity to discover what's best for you. Okay, so I'm going to close here with just a few testimonials, and then if you guys have time to stay on a little bit later, I'm going to answer any questions that you've typed into the Q&A for Zoom or the live feed in Facebook. So if you have questions, go ahead and type those in as I share these testimonials. So Christy said, I'm thrilled with how much my emotional and physical connection with my husband has grown. That was after just 3 months of coaching with me. Taylor said, Taylor worked with me for a little bit over 6 months. And she said, Rachel helped me save my marriage while having a new baby and tripling my business income. And then Kate said, Rachel taught me how to use my mind for me and my relationship instead of against it. I love that. So I invite you to come coach with me and learn to confidently stand up for your own desires in life, your body's desires, your mind's desires, your soul's desires. And I'm also going to teach you how to confidently, with full gusto, to stand up for your partner's desires. You can do both, and it's so much fun to do both. You're going to become the example in your family of healthy love. For some of you, this will be a massive shift in your family history. You are ending dysfunctional relationships. and really setting the example for your children of healthy love, of what a healthy relationship should be like. And you're probably also going to start setting some examples of what healthy boundaries look like, right? That's part of this as well. So this is the holistic marriage coaching that I do. You can sign up for your free consultation, again, at rachelcunningham.com/work with me.